Good Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to GardenStateWeather.com and GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, providing superior forecasting for the northern mid-Atlantic region 24 hours a day, bringing on your winter weather. Also on Garden State Weather on Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus as well. This is the video forecast discussion for a chilly but a chilly start to this Wednesday, obviously with the Arctic air in place, but the air is going to begin to modify against this first Arctic chill across the region, and we'll get into the details of the forecast for the weekend and beyond in a moment. Second cold morning in a row here with Arctic air in place, but it's definitely a little bit warmer today than it was yesterday in a few spots. These were today's minimum temperatures across the state of New Jersey, and as you can see, we had temperatures anywhere from the single digits into the teens across most areas. Temperatures as of 11 a.m. this morning are rising just either side of freezing. Winds are currently a lot lighter now than they were over the past 24 hours, and as a result, the wind chills are not as bitingly cold as they were at this time yesterday. Going across the forecast region late this morning, we see temperatures rising from the teens across the interior valleys of northwestern New Jersey, the Hudson River Valley. Most areas are now in the mid-20s to lower 30s. It's now about 40 around Yonkers, New York City, Central Park around 34, and Philadelphia is climbing up too. Here's our dome of high pressure cresting over the Delaware River Valley area. This morning we can see the cold striations of the cold cumulus clouds running over the top of the warmer water here along the Gulf Stream. We have a national look at some of the watches, warnings, and advisories across the region right now. We've got a lot of stuff going on in California over the last couple of days, bringing in lots of mountain snows and rain, flash flood watches in Southern California, as well as winter storm warnings. We've got some flash flood watches along the coast here from San Francisco on down south to Los Angeles and points south of there. Up in Northern California, we have winter storm warnings, and over the Cascades here, the Sierra Nevadas, actually, we have interior snows as well. In fact, the schools in Flagstaff this morning in Arizona are closed for the day, winter weather advisories, and up north, winter weather advisories for snow. And this is New Mexico. Up here, we have winter weather advisories and winter storm watches for around the Flagstaff area as well. Still have a lot of flood warnings and advisories for the Mississippi River here from St. Louis all the way down through New Orleans this morning, where some of the river gauges are approaching flood stage. The purple ones are in forecasted stages of 33 feet and beyond. This is some incredible amounts of water that is still on the rivers and flowing down through the Mississippi this morning. And of course, across the southeastern United States, where we've seen rain over the last week, we still have forecast of precipitation through California over the next 24 hours, actually all the way up till around 7 o'clock on Friday evening, January 8th, which happens to be my birthday. We can see amounts here of anywhere from a quarter of an inch all the way up to an inch and a half, 2 inches of rain, not out of the question in some of these heavier rains that are moving into California, thankfully, helping to make somewhat of a contribution. A lot of folks from the north head down to Florida at this time of the year. We've got temperatures in the north this morning in the 50s to lower 60s and upper 60s to around 70. We have this disturbance of low pressure here just north of Cuba here, and it's also moving towards the Florida Straits this morning. There's some light rain and pockets of rain around Miami and Gordo Beach and portions of West Palm Beach this morning, as temperatures are struggling in the upper 60s with the rain. Wide-scale national view this morning shows lots of action here with a warm front, cold front coastal system developing and moving onshore through California with more rains in the subtropical branch of the jet stream here and undercutting the high-pressure ridge over the Intermountain West and into Canada here. And here is our high-pressure dome right here, centered over the northern mid-Atlantic coast states with cold temperatures but modifying air mass in place and generally clear skies and calm winds under the domain. And here's our area of low pressure just north of Cuba now, getting into the Florida Straits and then eventually taking a track out north and east into the Atlantic. But this system here is going to actually set up what happens with the next couple of systems as they make their way into the eastern United States over the next couple of days. Everything is quiet and cool on the aviational weather deck for today. We have VFR conditions expected through the period. High pressure will be particularly overhead during the day, as we've just showed you, moving eastward overnight into the Wednesday time frame, which it is doing right now. Therefore, winds will generally be light, and there is a direction also from the west to the southwest. Thursday and Friday, VFR conditions expected Friday night through Sunday, MVFR and perhaps even IFR at times, and low clouds and rain. And we'll get into that in a moment. Right now outside of Newark, it's 34, dew point 6. That's still dry air. Humidity 30%. Wind southwest at 7, visibility 10. Mostly cloudy, just a few clouds there as the scatometer is measuring at 25,000 feet. And VFR conditions in place. That's the ceilometer, actually. Philadelphia right now is basically in good conditions, 32 degrees at freezing, dew point 7, humidity 34%, bone dry air in place. West wind or just west, due northwest at 5, and a few clouds again at 30,000. Otherwise, sunshine and VFR conditions in place. It's absolutely incredible to watch the stratosphere these days with all the changes that are ongoing. This is one of the longest and strongest Arctic polar vortexes that we've seen in recent years, and its location is still, no matter what kind of stretching is going on, even at 10 millibars this morning, we can see the warming on both ocean fronts here, trying to warp and kind of destroy or break up the polar vortex in such a way that it allows for warming and cooling of heights, warming of heights in the northern hemisphere, and underneath that, all that blocking and that develops in the troposphere. Right now we're at 10 millibars, nearly just about the top, not really the top layer of the stratosphere here. We can find this morning's observations show warming on both sides of the pole, and the warming is now getting down to south of the Aleutian Islands here in the Gulf of Alaska. And we can find the warping here at the polar vortex just north now of Greenland, moving back towards its original Arctic Circle. Just slightly up from mid-layer of the stratosphere, big changes. You can see the warming that's going on south of the Aleutian Islands, all along the west coast here of British Columbia here. And it's warping the vortex, but it's not really breaking it up. There's one lobe south of the southern tip of Greenland here at 70 millibars, and then all of this extending back from the pole into Eurasia, actually into Asia. Top of the troposphere here at 250 millibars, where our jet streams are located. Look at this. This is just an incredible amount of flooding subtropical air into the subtropical jet stream here. And here's our polar jet stream up and through here. Here's our cross-Arctic polar flow. We've got our ridging building up here through the western United States into central southwestern Canada here. Western Canada, we've got low pressure, part of a deep low pressure area here north of Hudson's Bay. Split flow pattern definitely in place between the two branches here. Cross-polar flow is a very highly volatile amount of activity that's going on over the entire globe. 500 millibars or 18,000 feet, this is where things really matter the most too. Here we see our split flow, very active subtropical branch. Here's our PNA, our ridge building across the western United States into Canada. Negative EPO pattern here, setting up south of the Aleutian Islands, with one low off of British Columbia and the northwestern territories here of the United States and the Pacific. And again, below normal height south of the Aleutian Islands. This is a negative EPO. We've got blocking, but it's not predominant yet. We're still building the block here across the northern Atlantic. Therefore, the streams are separating. This is our polar jet stream here, and this is our subtropical jet stream here. And notice all the branching here as of this morning is heading up towards the Great Lakes, because we don't really have a solid state of the NAO in a negative fashion at this time. So all the streams are progressive, and that's hence the reason why all the warm air is going to be building back into the region again prior to the next weather event on Sunday, which is going to be a moderate to heavy rain event across the forecast region. And yes, I think I'm even coming down with some kind of a light cold or something going on here. This is the latest social media sick weather from sickweather.com, showing the amount of people that in social media are still reporting to be sick across the entire forecast region this morning. Today we're going to use the model guidance from Storm Vista, as some of the other models aren't updating quite as well as we thought that they would be from some of the sites that we actually use. So it's one of the premium professional sites we use here at Garden State Weather, stormvistaweathermodels.com, great site. And as we see, as we head into Saturday morning, we find temperatures over the interior of northern New Jersey, the Hudson River Valley area, still at or below freezing. Could be some warm air advective precipitation breaking out. A slight chance for a little bit of freezing rain or some sleet in the profile. Would most likely be sleet and then go over to rain. Now, this is not really the main event because as we head into the weekend, this is where things get interesting. By Sunday, we have a low, our primary low here, developing across and over the Great Lakes region. And it's also showing signs of being negatively tilted here. It's going to allow the heights to rise and warm air to move into the forecast region. And we can see that. There could be some moderate pockets of rain around an inch, maybe an inch and a half in spots as it heads up through the Hudson River Valley, northwestern New Jersey, the Poconos, and New York City and Connecticut as well. Then the Arctic blast comes in, and here we're talking about temperatures again getting into the 40s, down into the 30s here. This cold, cold air building into the forecast region for the early part of next week. We find temperatures and thicknesses where the freezing line is now well to the coast of south of Philadelphia, off of the Ocean County area of New Jersey here. And then we get another coastal storm which tries to develop along the Baroclinic line here, spreads up some frozen precipitation as we head into January 13th and 14th, so that's still in question about the location and intensity of this storm as it moves up along the Baroclinic line. Now, I guess what we're going to be dealing with is more Arctic air that passes after that system, so it's like a step down effect here. And we've got a Clipper system moving in for the north for the later part of the week. This is the GFS model guidance from the 12Z this morning. This is the very latest, and of course, we're still concentrating on the later part of next weekend, which is Saturday, January 16th and 17th. Up till now, it's going to be cold enough for precipitation to break out, and if that does so, we're going to find a warm event here along the coast where southeasterly to easterly winds, no blocking still evident here, and this means moderate to heavy precipitation breaking out. But notice where the thickness lines here, 548, and the thermal line here of freezing is still back through the Susquehanna River Valley. So the precipitation would be mainly rain again if this scenario holds true. Of course, everyone wants to know where and when are we getting snow in the New Jersey, New York City metropolitan area. And to tell you the truth, it's still on the table, and we've got a lot of opportunities still for the rest of this month, and the actual pattern suggests that things will get quite volatile and very active, and I don't think that the models are handling a lot of these features very well, and probably won't until they're within the 3 to 5 day forecast period. Now, I wanted to go into a lot of other things this morning, but I'm not feeling all that well, and I'm going to try to attempt a different video forecast discussion on those features that I talked about in this morning's social media output on Facebook. I'm going to try to do that later this afternoon. So for everything live, it's GardenStateWeather.com, GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. I'm forecaster Robert Smith. We'll be back later this afternoon.